and welcome to this edition of RC Racing TV, and it's our yearly trip to the hallowed dirt of the Neo race, where the best of the best compete for what is unofficially dubbed the indoor world. So let's get over to John Hindhaugh to find out who is in the final.
So the finalists are 15 strong. Jared Tebow, the top qualifier from 1, on to Ryan Mayfield. A couple of the USA contenders at the sharp end. Then Davide Ongaro from Italy. Elliot Boots from the United Kingdom on 4. Ty Tessman from Canada on 5. Robert Bataille from Spain on 6. Sweden represented by David Ronenfalk on 7. 8 Lee Martin, another one of the Brits. 9 Ryan Lutz from the USA. Renaud Savoia from France in 10th. Then it's Neumann, Zanchetin, Fend, Bloomfeld and Neil Cragg is at the back. So this could get very, very busy indeed. The buggy's been put down onto the dirt. Checkered flag is down, raised and away. Oh, a bit of an untidy start, but the TQ has... Oh, well, I was about to say got away, but Tebow was bumped there on the first of the infield hairpins, and he's dropped back. And that is Ryan Mayfield then, who's got the lead onto the infield over the whoops and the technical section. Track standing up very nicely here at Telford through the crossover area. That's something that we've not seen before. 1 or 2 raised eyebrows at the start of the event, but I think the drivers are sort of getting used to it now. Say that, of course, it'll cause mayhem later on through this final. There's your leader then, the Mugen of the USA driver, Ryan Mayfield. It's Ongaro, Davide Ongaro, the Italian on the Associated, in 2nd. 3rd is Elliot Boots up from 4th. So those 3 are in grid positions. The man that's missing is Tebow, Jared Tebow, who has recovered to 4th position. Spot the white wheels on Tebow's car as he fights his way back through after being unceremoniously dumped out at the first corner. There he is on the blue. That's Tebow. And the 5-time champion here has just got to calm himself down. Would have been easy to try and do too much too early, but he's got the leaders in sight, and that's all he needs right now. A little bit of a battle for the lead there. Mayfield with the yellow wheels, Ongaro sitting in behind him. Just for a moment it looked like there might be a bit of a challenge there, but Mayfield at the moment just holding his own underneath part of the crossover there. The idea is that you fly over one way and you drive over the other, and there's the battle for the lead. And there's a touch and a sideways bit of a hip check there. And Ongaro, the Italian, very forceful for a moment, got into the lead. He's just about held onto it, but surely the race officials will be looking at that. Let's have another look at it. Well, he's through there, isn't he? He did get through, and then it was just tangling of wheels. I think that might be allowed to stand. And Elliot Boots now in 2nd position. Did look like he might be able to take advantage there. And Mayfield has dropped back. Oh, Boots has gone over. Boots has gone over. Well, I still think of him as the young Brit. Remember him in his early and mid-teens, making his debut in the big competitions, but a very experienced driver now. Double European champion. And still a very, very good competitor, but at the moment he's just tracking Davide Ongaro, who is only 16, so Boots knows all about the situation that Ongaro is in, with the Associated Ongaro leading from the Kyosho of Elliot Boots over the crossover again. Now heading back round to the crossover from the low side, if you will, and into the longer whoops. That hairpin has stood up very well indeed. This is all just about getting the pace in the middle part of this race. Across the tabletop, don't forget we will have pit stops here, and we've seen that in the past be the deciding factor, as Boots just gets a little bit sideways there. Is he trying slightly too hard? Waiting for the first set of pit stops. Can't be too far away now, as these two are battling away. There's the third place driver. And that is Tibor, who's recovering. Oh, nice air there from Boots, but you want to get on the ground as quickly as you can. Crossover working well there. Car in the air, car underneath. Exactly how it was designed. So Boots then just beginning to be caught by Tibor, who triples the last set of whoops there, and all of a sudden is right on second place man, the Brit Elliott Boots. So this is nicely judged by Tibor. Started as our top qualifier, but barged out of it at the infield hairpin on the first lap. And now he is gradually pulling his way back towards the leaders. It's the blue car in the background. Oh, and he tried the triple again there, but that time he was caught out. So there is Boots looking from the opposite end. That's the crossover. And now he'll go underneath the crossover. There he is. That's the leader, Ungaro. So nobody's getting away here. We will have some traffic to deal with. Ungaro onto the infield. That's where the kerfuffle was on the first corner. And he's going to be dealing with traffic anytime soon. I think if I was Boots, I'd like to be a tiny bit closer to see if I could take advantage of any lack of concentration, loss of concentration there. He just hit the inside there, Ungaro. Maybe his vision just taken for a moment by the buggy ahead of him, who stays out of the way. Ryan Lutz started from grid 9, one of the Americans on the Techno. He's just gone a lap down to the Italian there. And now it's going to be traffic all the way through to the end for the leaders. This is a very measured run by Ungaro. Down into that tricky complex off the end of the start straight. Easy to overdrive here. Everyone's going wide in that right-hander. Getting the power on to fly the tabletop and the first part of the whoops there. Now more traffic for Ungaro. Got to be careful here. Nice driving by the drivers that he is passing, giving him plenty of room. Helped out by the referee, of course, who'll be just letting everyone know up on the rostrum where the leader is, calling out the numbers, telling them to be aware. So easy to, just when you're looking, oh, the leader's gone over just in the traffic, and there's Boots right behind in the red car, just in the traffic. Will have to go past that back marker again that he just dealt with. Running a bit rich, the leader there as well, throwing out a bit of blue smoke. Just showing you how hard he was pushing there, getting on to the throttle. Might want to make a little adjustment when he comes into the pit lane for the fuel stop. Now he's got two back markers to deal with ahead, and Elliott Boots behind with the red Kyosho. Comes down the inside. Leader gets held up with the back markers, and there's the lead change. But Boots now has to be decisive, and is. That's smart driving by the Brit. Took his advantage perfectly. And just what I was saying about being somewhere near to be able to take any advantage that was offered, well, he was, but only thanks to a mistake by Ungaro. So Davide Ungaro now back to second, but doesn't need to panic at this stage. All of a sudden he's dropping away though. Ungaro's just gone into the pits there. Just saw him in the background. So I wonder if he's decided that that car needed A, fuel, and B, maybe just a little tweak on the mixture. The buggy will be back out. Doesn't take the pit lane guys very long to turn them down, turn them round. So now Elliott Boots, will he come in this time around, or is he working to a different strategy? Car looks good, dives left-handed into the pit lane, and waiting for his pit crew up onto the side. In goes the fuel, down and away. Oh my goodness me, that was a back marker ahead of him, and that's the leader in trouble. Well, that was hard driving on the sticks from Boots, and he's managed to rescue what could have been a disastrous situation. Just kept the throttle in and over the bumper edge of the circuit, but that's clearly thrown his concentration right off. Now breathe hard, Elliot. Let's have another look at that. It was the 7 of Ronenfalk, David Ronenfalk, the HB driver, a lap down. But look there, the power is kept on so that the marshal didn't have to get involved. But that surely must have cost him time. And in fact, if you look a couple of buggies back, you'll see the blue and white of the second place driver. That could have been even worse. No such thing as unsafe release here. But I think that the pit crew of Elliott Boots might just be looking down to their left and having a word with Ronenfalk's people and saying, come on guys, what were you thinking of? That's the leader, you're a lap down. Which I think would be a reasonable conversation to have. So Boots then leading. Oh, second, is that second place T-Bo? Third place T-Bo, excuse me. Still trying to make up from that disastrous start. But his lap times have been consistent, they're just not quite quick enough to close the gap. So the American, the Kyosho driver, and just picking his way through at the moment.
Time for a quick pit stop on RC Racing TV, so don't go anywhere.
Goes down the inside there. That was a lap runner again. The number being called out by the race referee, just to make sure that everyone is aware. No blue flags obviously being waved here as you would have in full-size motorsport, so the race referee just letting everybody know where the faster cars are coming. So a lot that the referee, or the race director perhaps you might want to call him, has to keep an eye on with everybody coming through. Got to try and read the race. With 15 finalists here, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Now, that is Davide Ungaro, and I'm just looking at the back of that buggy there, and I think the Kyosho, the Associated, isn't quite a full Associated. It's Associated because it's missing a third of the rear wing. But he's now leading. Yes, definitely. Couldn't decide there whether it was just a trick of the light here, and he's rolled it again. That won't do it any favours either. There's T-Bo. That is battling for the lead. Elliott Boots, I'm afraid, has dropped down after having an off and losing a lot of time. So that red buggy that's in there is not battling for the lead. So I have to tell you that if you're a Boots fan, that is not Boots behind. He is further back down the standings, and these two blue and white are battling for the lead as T-Bo once again tried to triple that infield whoops. We've seen him do that before to some great effect this week, and even in this final. So Ungaro and Jared T-Bo battling it out underneath our camera position. It's a bit like watching two heavyweights sparring, this, isn't it? Just a bit of a jab here and a jab there. Not yet into the run into the final rounds. Just trying to get the measure of your opponent. Just sparring away here in this middle portion of the race. They look incredibly evenly matched. T-Bo then, second of those two blue and white machines. Will he triple these again? There he goes for it. Yes, he does, and he makes up a huge amount of time. Every time he does that, he's getting great drive, but he hasn't managed to turn that in. He is I've not seen anybody do that other than him. The American, tremendously confident with his machine, and he makes up an awful lot of time. Didn't quite get him into a position to be able to pass. But let's see again. So he'd go normally here now. Look, big burst of power. And again, he almost comes up alongside where everybody else is taking a second bounce. I'm not sure who that is behind him, the lap car. But I tell you what, his lap times are pretty decent. See if I can get a look at him whilst we're concentrating on this battle for the lead. Off the lead lap, it's the Spaniard, Robert Betal, And he at the moment is just tracking the leaders. This is intriguing, isn't it? Absolutely intriguing. I wonder if they're actually holding Bartel up here, because he looks as though he's giving them respect, which is absolutely the right thing to do. And they've been asked to do that by the referee. But as you can see there, he is now beginning to get a little frustrated, because he's got his own race to run here. And he might be a lap off the lead, but he needs to get past these two and get through. But do that, of course, without affecting the overall position. Yes, but definitely that red and yellow machine, the Mugen, excuse me, is looking very good behind the two leaders. They've just eased their pace maybe a tiny bit, and again Thibaut does that triple, and again there's a big plume of exhaust smoke from Ongaro, the leader, as he throttles right up. And now all of a sudden that sparring has turned into something a little more threatening as they get through the traffic. And again, the experienced drivers know that when you're in traffic there's an opportunity, and Thibaut closed right up, but he's lost a bit of ground there, but immediately jumps back in as we're back into the pits. Not the most tidy run into the pits by Ongaro. He's down and away, and again gets caught on the way out by another car. That was one of the cars at the far end of the pit lane. Was that Jared Thibaut's car that was hanging over the pit lane? If so, that was a tiny bit naughty. You're not really supposed to block the pit lane, but I would say Thibaut is further down. Oh my goodness, that's Thibaut, and maybe unsettled by that pit lane incident. Really supposed to take the buggy right to the inside and make sure that the pit lane itself remains clear. But it looked to me as though the right hand wheels were just hanging into the active pit lane, and that is what Ongaro caught. Now Elliot Boots has gone through, so the car we're watching, the man who started on top qualification pole position, if you will, he's back down to third. And coming back through traffic again, looks a bit rattled, doesn't he? Looks a bit rattled, I would say. That's Boots ahead. So Boots, having led this final, now sitting back in second, had a very big off with a little bit of a loss of concentration. And he's just gone wide again there, and that gives Jared Thibaut a little bit of encouragement. You don't need to encourage Thibaut. And there he goes again. That's the signature move. Takes second in the air. And he is the only driver doing that. I'm so surprised no one else has tried it. They clearly don't have the confidence of the American on the Kyosho. Got to get everything working just well, especially the clutch to hook up the power. And he's clearly got plenty of drive. Here it is again. Let's look. He's fine there. Then whoosh. Extraordinary. And everyone else is taking a further bounce. Ongaro still leading. There he is. Once again in traffic. But once again, traffic getting out the way. I think it was Ronald again that's just gone another lap back. All these drivers driving their own race at the moment, hoping that something comes back to them. Surely they've got to understand now that the top positions are being battled out by the three major protagonists that we've seen all the way through. Now there's Thibaut back into second, as he was when we left him after that flying overtake. But Boots is maybe a little closer now. Has a look up the inside, the side-by-side contact. But again, I think that's all right, because Thibaut had made a mistake. And oh, you see, that's what happens if you don't get hooked up on that triple. And actually that was a pretty impressive piece of driving by Jared Thibaut to hold on to that Kyosho when he really didn't land well at all. Now there's the leader now with no rear wing. He lost the right-hand portion. Now he's got the, well, what in Formula 1 would be called the monkey seat. He's got the low downforce version now. having spoken to the drivers earlier this week, I was a little bit sceptical about how much that wing does for you, but it does make a difference when the cars are airborne. Not pushing the car right onto the ground necessarily, but the flight of the car is affected, and having, well, virtually only a quarter, that tiny little middle section, is making a difference. He's driven very well though, as he goes into, oh yeah, time almost a lap, so this should be the last lap. Not going for the big air there, making sure that he gets this Kyosho home, this Associated home, my apologies, as he comes through. Oh, and there we just saw him getting a little bit sideways. He's got to be careful here. He's got a decent lead as he comes through back to the start line and finishing. And that is the championship for Davide Ongaro from Italy on the Associated. So let's confirm the results then. After the 45 minutes, Davide Ongaro takes it by a lap, 15 seconds effectively ahead of Elliot Boots, who just nipped back into second at the end there, ahead of Jared Thibault, our TQ top qualifier, in third. Then Mayfield Lutz and Jon Neumann up into the top 6. Let's talk to the winner.
The race wasn't that great, but working together with the team, they changed a lot on the setup, and actually it eventually came good enough to win, and great result.
Big fight at the start of the race. I saw you coming together with Ryan Mayfield. How did you see that incident?
He hopes he didn't get Ryan angry, but actually he was in the inside and he was ahead of him, so he just went for his line, and he doesn't think he caused big drama, actually. The new car is working great, the new tires, everything. So the new package is very, very good. He's very confident in it. And instead of what happened at the Worlds, where he had a little bit of bad luck, everything came together today, so he's very happy.
Well, congratulations to Davide. Don't forget to check out at rcracing.tv for more action both live and in the archive. See you next time. Bye!